United States of America, and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Good evening, and thank you for coming to the April regular school board meeting of the Becker School Board. We'll start off with reports. And Charlie, we'll start with you as student reports.
Okay. In the past month, the tennis team is off to a hot start with a 4-1 record on the year. The band has been working hard on their new concert music for the Pops concert. DECA has wrapped up for the year, so students are working on miscellaneous projects in the off season that they will present to judges next year. Softball just got back from the Wisconsin Dells. Bass team is having weekly meetings to learn more about fishing techniques. Yearbook has been working on making templates for pages. The boys rugby team has been practicing every Tuesday and Sunday. The boys and girls track teams are coming off to a multiple broken school records and state appearance seasons. With an experienced lineup, the girls are hoping to place high in conference and section meets. So far, they have hosted 2 indoor meets, winning one and taking second to Cambridge in the other. And the robotics team has been hard at work building a second robot after recognizing the shortfalls after their competition in March. At their competition, they won the quality award and had a mentor win the Woody Flowers Award, which is a huge achievement. In the coming months, Student Council will be working hard to plan Spring Fling for May. NHS will be attending the state conference this weekend to learn more about what other honor societies are doing. Softball has games in Zimmerman, St. Francis, and Monticello. Bass team is looking to get out on the water right after school gets out, so it'll be a while for them yet. Tennis is in for a 20-plus win season and have a very veteran roster with 6 seniors who have all played varsity for at least 3 years, looking to make a trip back to state tournament this year. Boys and girls golf will start competing 2 meets a week next week. Yearbook is going to be working on getting spring sport photos, which might be challenging with the weather right now. Drama is working on their spring production, 12 Angry Men. That'll be out the first weekend in May. The choir show is coming up on May 18th. The theme is genres. Boys rugby has their first game on the 14th. Track will be competing Wednesday at Chisago Lakes and Thursday at Zimmerman. The boys team has high numbers this year and hopes to be a repeat competitor at True Team. So far, they've hosted 2 indoor meets just with the girls. They'll also be competing in Chisago and Zimmerman this week. Robotics team has their second and last regional this week. It's their home competition in St. Cloud, and students will be there Wednesday through Saturday. There are free matches Friday and Saturday. Pop out. If you're going to be there, let me know. We'll get you into a free lunch. Their performance determines whether we will qualify for Worlds this year. Today we did have a priest come in and bless our robot. So we'll see. Questions?
All right, thank you. Brings us to superintendent report.
Sure. MCA testing will continue through May. We're also looking at staffing for next school year, including that we're going to meet the needs of the strategic plan, making sure everyone's licenses are proper, and we're also completing evaluations of all staff, not all staff, the ones that are in the rotation this year, all probationary staff, and then the formal ones for every 3rd year continuing contract teachers. And then we have our paras and other groups being evaluated. As we look at the budget, we're looking around $500,000 from the budget, and we always kind of look at it and say, what's the impact on students, or how can we best use each budget dollar to achieve our long-term vision for student success? We've listed, I think on the budget sheet, I've got about $2 million to choose from to get to that 500,000. So we'll kind of weigh those options out. We're going to look at a variety of different things, including student impact, staff impact, whether they can be automatic cuts essentially, or through attrition, where it doesn't impact somebody's employment, and then the short-term and long-term impacts of those are things we'll look at when we go through those and kind of narrow it down. And you can see on the agenda this month we've got staffing on there, but we don't have any recommendations at this point. But hopefully in May we'll have some of those that'll come up. We'll have all of our tier 1 teachers as well that will be placed on leave. Yeah. And because we have to do that, and then we post their positions for up to 60 days, or at least 60 days, and then determine what we do with that after. The class size committee provided helpful building level feedback on classroom management, student needs, space, safety, and staff support. So they provided a recommendation from the staff perspective. When asked, they would not take into account the budget limits, the budget cuts potentially, those types of things, space and other demands of the district. Lower class sizes obviously are desirable by everyone, and so that adopting these would be difficult because of just a number of other factors that come into play. The district will continue to prioritize teacher efficacy and student needs as we make decisions, just like I just said with the budget cuts. And then the numbers that they have provided for recommendations are 20 to 22 students in primary school, 24 to 26 in the intermediate, the middle school 26 to 28 students per class, and then the high school having some registration caps based on teacher input. And then they had some other areas that they shared, like music and things like that, with a cap at 70, and then increasing the budget for electives. And we'll use these and take these into consideration for sure. And like I said, everyone would like small class sizes if we could afford it, but that gets really difficult at times in space, and there's a lot of different factors that come into play. One of them I did like that did come from this committee was the increased budget for electives. So a lot of the electives we've shifted electives in some cases, or we've added electives, or added staffing for certain electives because we've increased people taking more classes, and like the family and consumer science area. Business is another one we've grown in the last few years, and their budget has stayed the same, even though we've expanded and added staff and added students to those programs. So that's something we need to look at as well. The legislative update. So they were not in session last week. The Senate had the omnibus education bill a week and a half ago, the 27th, I believe, of February was when they ended before taking a recess. They had some bills on there on student device restrictions, like screen time restrictions and things like that, which we're starting to look at as well. READ Act revisions, bullying interventions, the Tier 2 licensure expansion, interstate teacher mobility, so making it a little easier for out-of-state teachers to get their license in Minnesota, which is somewhat difficult now because, or it's always been difficult because Minnesota has much higher guidelines, I guess, on how they bring in teachers and accept teacher licenses from out of state. So that would be nice. CPR AED training for all coaches, middle school and above, which sounds great in terms like it is, but that would mean you'd have to train everybody, and it's pretty expensive to train people on CPR and things like that for all coaches. Like it'd be nice to have one coach maybe trained on each team and things like that, but you start throwing in 30 or 40 coaches per season per sport. In some cases it gets to be a lot. Crisis planning with students, disabilities, student board representation. They're trying to make that mandatory. So that one is fine because we already have it. So certain K-3 dismissals. So right now you can't suspend essentially or dismiss students from school K-3. They would allow up to a day and a half of that if the one bill I saw. Opiate antagonist possession diplomas for Korean and Vietnam War veterans, automatic diplomas if you went to war for Korean War, Vietnam War, and you were 17, 18, a junior, senior in high school, and you could get a free diploma from that.
40 years late.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's what I said. They should have given that. And they did. House policy did not have an omnibus bill. There's some stuff going on with that, but they were still working at that time from the information. So that's where it sits. House finance, some PSEO changes and things like that were heard. CTE based scholarships, career pathways, and student mental health grants. Those types of things were in the House finance, but again, no formal bill was drafted. It's all kind of sat in the committee, so everything was heard in the committees, and more details are to come for that. The House did pass the K-12 forecast adjustment bill to align appropriations with the February 2026 forecast, which was better than the previous forecast or the November forecast. And then there's this thing out there called providing tax credits for SGOs or scholarship granting organizations. On that proposal failed on a tie vote. And there's a lot of still unknowns, I think, about that. I've been asked a number of questions from our representatives and senators on that, and so I just don't know some of the unknowns. It sounds great to have a $1,700 tax credit for everybody, but we just don't know how that really works out in the end. So that's split on a party line vote. So Senate Education Finance Committee also discussed anonymous reporting systems, which we have that in place already. Utility costs, allowing those in operating capital, pool levy eligibility, and literacy aid formula changes, and they didn't have any final actions. And then graduation will take place on May 29th, so let Angel or me know if you are planning to attend or not. Any questions on all that?
When's the end of the session? February?
May 18th.
Yeah. A month, 5 weeks.
I think it was nice to hear too that we are kind of ahead of the curve on a lot of these things that, you know, that they're talking about, so.
The good ones in my
Yep,
mind.
right.
So, there are some other Becker related bills that are out there as well. You talk about data centers and the power plant, and I think the bill got heard on LPI, or maybe it's getting heard this week. On trying to figure out ways to get them steam power or steam generation that they need to run recycling at LPI and stuff. So, yeah, the mayor was actually there on the 26th of March, and Jacob Sanders from the city was there as well, testifying. So I jumped back and forth between two different, the education committee and then their committee was their energy, and yeah, it was just funny bumping into them there.
All right, thank you, Jeremy. Item number 3, item 2C, committee reports. Corey, you have a track
Sure.
report?
Track committee met on Monday, March 16th. Just kind of the plan is to continue to raise community involvements. There was a letter created by Mr. Mark Holbiner that was shared then by our chief of police, actually, at the Becker Chamber meeting that month of March too, with Chris Lindbaum. So that was really good. Again, they're looking for businesses that would be willing to be track certified, and just be basically committed to fostering a positive mental health. It was presented, like I said, in March. From what I've gathered from people that were at that meeting, it went really well received. It's just now making sure that we can get these businesses on track and how that would all work with them. If you're a business and you're looking to participate, if you have questions, you can obviously reach out to our middle school principal, Chantel Boyer, who leads it, Mark Holbiner, or you can use myself, and we can kind of get you. I do have a letter that was shared with the chamber, or with the businesses of the chamber. If you have any interest in looking at that, that can be, let's leave it there. We can kind of pass it around as it goes through, but that was kind of given out at the meeting as well.
All right, any questions about track? All right, thank you, Corey.
Yep.
And Pete, I believe you have activities, policy, and ECFE maybe?
Yeah. We got shown tonight. I'll start off with early childhood. We met here on March 30th. And off the bat, I think Michelle and her staff has done a phenomenal job this year. Of course, Jen with Community Ed works really closely with them. And as far as the programs and the online registration and the steps they've taken, definitely deserve some good praise for that. Some enrollment updates. ECFE, the fall classes had 59 5 classes. Winter was 74 enrollees with 7 classes, and spring had 80 participants with 7 classes, which is a 35% increase since the start of the year. Pre-K fall was 142, winter had 138, and spring had 140. So actually a 1% decrease since the start of the year for that age group. And then Small Wonders had 52 in the winter, 58 in the spring, and 52 in the fall, 58 in the winter, and 60 in the spring. And there was a 15% increase since the start of the year. So program wide, over a 54% increase since the start of the year on the programs. Couple family events coming up. They've got Dad's Pizza Night over at the Pizza Depot on April 13th. Grandparents Night at the ECFE building on May 13th. And they're looking for new, event ideas for the coming year in 26, 27. So a couple ideas: bingo, garage sale, carnival night, dance party. If you give that team some ideas, they find amazing ways to put things together. A couple summer events they have coming up, the NCLI, the grant update, the No Child Left Inside. They did a presentation on that. They were supposed to hear it by the 31st if oh, darn it. I thought maybe I'd have some good news.
We did hear it, but yeah,
Okay,
yeah.
we did put in to get that, to get a grant on that. And apparently, Jeremy, the bearer of bad news over here, we didn't get the grant, but we'll keep working on it. They've got camping out at the park in June, farm, science, a lot of good things. We've got an open house for pre-K and small wonders, February 26th. Or they had one on the open house it was a really good turnout, lots of new families, and they all brought good questions. They said to the event, which is good. Registration is now open through, let's see. Yeah, registration is now open for that. So what else can I tell you? They always give me plenty of content to talk about. They are working on a parent's handbook that they can put in. ECFE, they're going to be putting surveys together as well, both, sent out through the system, just to kind of grab community input, how to best meet the needs of the participants. And for an update on the Imaginary City, they are still working on moving that needle forward somehow, some way. So I've heard rumors that it wasn't going to happen, but as far as I know, Paige and Jen and Kelsey and Dale, I think, are still working on how that's going to transpire. So great year over that. No questions on that?
I was just gonna, the one about just in growth, right?
Yeah.
Any historical, is it consistent?
For
Like numbers in those programs? I mean, I know it increased from fall to spring and almost every number, but is that, are we typically sitting at like 60 in the first groups? Is that a high number?
Well, I think over the years they've restructured.
Yeah.
More classes so we could get more students in. So
Okay.
I think it's kind of hard to measure, but I guess we
Okay.
could take an overall student count and see where we are.
This is kind of nice to know, I mean, it gives a good projection, maybe for kindergarten classes, are we growing, are we? I mean,
Yeah, well, and it's to his point too, they are restructuring all the time. So they're looking at, do they bring, all day options, 2-day to 3-day options. But that's one thing that we've always asked is, going into this new scenarios, how can we put stats to it, right? So, but yeah, I think the numbers are our best option right now with that. So, right, I'll just move into activity. Again, the main thing we met on was, again, the activities fees. I think Dave now has enough, of a target to hit to where we want to get with the next 2 years in fees. We don't want to be too low to the point where it's, it was not going to be enough and we're stuck with the same number for the next 2 years. At the same time, we just don't want to increase it with no real, verification or, hey, we're gonna put it up here. So it's been a challenge to get him, the information needed to zero in on where it should be. But we do have the numbers from the other conferences. So I think we should be able to make a responsible decision on where activity fees should be. And we're at the bottom right now. Things with transportation costs and all that. It's an easy, it's an easy question to answer, why do we have to do it? The answers are pretty obvious in that case. So we continue to do that. I'm thinking we will probably have something online in front of us to vote on here in the next month or so. And then just to touch base on, the budget cuts, it's pretty much all over the place, right? So they continue to look at ways they can be more efficient, whether it be the transportation or the planning or the scheduling. We talked about, the hotel costs we're going to state, you know, it's great with Becker, you know, we're always going down to state and stuff, but it is expensive to send the kids down to stay in the hotels down there, so. That is, they're looking at ways to curb that cost as well.
I don't want to be the question guy, but so you said. we're
Yeah,
at
be the
bottom of
question guy.
line.
We are at the bottom end of where we're at, both for middle school and.
And that's our Mississippi A
Yes.
conference.
Yep,
Are we looking to maybe go like middle of the pack or just a little bit of an increase? I mean,
Yeah.
either way, but
well, that's been the challenging
Yeah.
part is like, what's the target? And that's been my question. It's like, is there a number that we actually are looking to get
Right.
and how can we get there? Again, at the end of the day, we've got to do something, you know, we've got the trainer now, so that's an added expense,
Mm.
but. Yeah, I think that's when we decided before, because it was, I think, 8 years, right, Kevin, before we raised there was an 8-year time, so. When we talked about it last time, I said, well, we can't wait another 8 years, so. We decided every 2 years, we gotta make a decision and so we're coming up on ready to do that again, so. Again, middle of the pack, but at the same time, we gotta make sure that, you know, all the needs of the kids are being covered and.
it's nice to be alone,
Coaches.
because you like, hopefully at higher participation, right?
Right.
But you gotta be able to sustain it.
Yeah. There are schools that, charge more for different activities and things like that. We kick that idea around. I don't think I'm a huge fan of that. I like kind of keeping everything. On that, but yeah. Oh, yeah, they were talking about, I think we talked about gate revenues last time too, and where the money comes from, but. I think. With the numbers that we have out there, I think we can make a reasonable increase, still have it be, a responsible one, so. And then, policies, I think, I'll defer to Jeremy when we talk about it later on in the meeting.
All right. Thank you, Pete. Any other committee reports? All right, moves us on to item number 3, consent agenda.
We'll make a motion to accept the agenda in front of us. I will second.
We have a motion and a second to accept the consent agenda as written before us. Any further questions or discussion? All those in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. All opposed? Motion carries. Brings us to item number 4, resolution donations.
I'll make a motion to accept the donations. I'll second that.
We have a motion and a second to accept donations. Any discussions or questions about that?
Obviously, the weight room needs to continue to be updated, but what a lot of the money's going to, there's like $4,000 going. Do we know, is it equipment or?
Yeah, I don't know. But I see Alliance came through again.
Yep.
Another $8,000 from Alliance programs.
Except for
Oh, I don't know what the Clear Lake one is.
weight room
Is that for
expenses.
the, is it for that trainer?
For the weight room is for the trainer. Oh, okay.
For that. But then there was also the 4 for.
Oh,
4 for the CTE, that's what I thought you were talking about.
Gotcha.
Yeah.
okay.
That's whole one. But
Yeah.
they're doing this 4
Okay.
But yeah, the Clear Lake lines that might be for the. What's that program called?
The weight program.
It is called ETS.
ETF. I wonder if that's what that's for.
Sure.
All right, all those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
All opposed? Motion carries. Brings us to item number 5, the review of updated policies. Jeremy, you want to speak to these?
Also Pete would, but so
Not for me.
those first 3, 410, 615 and 701 are non substantive changes, so we can approve those in one meeting. The 410 is deleted some references to Minnesota parenting laws due to the new laws on paid leave and ESST. So that was just removed to update it to correspond with the law. 615 aligns it with the transition to alternate MCA requirements. So again, we could say we disagree, but it's in law, so. And then 701 for the budget was a revision and recommendation to Article 3, A and B, which was recommended by the auditors and MSBA staff, and then a revision in Article 3C for Minnesota statute alignment 123B.77. So again, those three are pretty
These are easy ones.
yeah, just to review. Can't remember, did we vote on them?
Yep.
Yeah, okay.
So we'll take a vote. I'm looking for a motion.
I'll make a motion to accept the updated policies in front of us.
I'll second that.
We have an update and a second. Any further questions or discussions? All those in favor signify by saying aye. All opposed? Motion carries. And then that brings us to item number 6, first readings.
So 503, 515, and 625. Actually start at the bottom one, the 625. Use of AI. That is a brand new policy. Obviously, AI is a newer thing in schools, and so this was a recommendation from MSBA. There's a number of items that we put in there as well that they fill in. They give us essentially a spot for notes and give us some recommendations, but we can fill them in accordingly. One of the probably the bigger things is you have to have a committee according to how we have the policy written and how MSBA has the policy written. And we would like to use the district curriculum advisory committee for that committee because it's already there. I don't know if we get a ton of people on a committee just for artificial intelligence implementation, but the running joke is just use AI for the committee and go from there. But it's using the district curriculum advisory committee for that. So you'll have some discussions about that if you're on that committee. And again, that's a first reading because it is a brand new policy that we don't have. 515, protection and privacy of pupil records. That one has some updated information on immunization records information, and then some guidance from Minnesota Health and Human Services. And then there's a decent amount of changes in this one, and so you'll see that, and so that's why we decided to do a first reading on it to get some feedback on that as well. And 503 student attendance has a lot of numbers. This has gone through admin review, so the assistant principals mainly spent a lot of time getting the numbers and things in place for this. So you'll see like after so many absences, this will happen. After the next set of absences per trimester, this event will happen, up to and including grade changes and things like that that are relative to that. So those are in there. Again, some pretty decent changes and a lot of new information in there that you can see. And then it also Minnesota statute changed the definition of habitual truant in there under Article 3, and so you'll see that information in there. But just anyone that has feedback can give that to me or get them to the district office, and we can we'll take that into consideration, and we'll bring it to policy committee and bring it here if we need to.
All right. Any further questions on those policies? All right, brings us to item number 7. This meeting is adjourned. Just in time to get home. Some of us will be home